As many of your esteemed guests were speaking about earlier in the segment and last night, Ursula, Les, and Ken and others, I think this problem is especially bad in Silicon Valley in the tech community, that we tend to live in a little bit of an echo chamber, and that includes talent. And the same talent kind of bounces around this echo chamber, and that we have to be deliberate about reaching outside of our networks to pull new talent into our networks. And Zillow is a tech company, but taking this pledge is all about leaning in and saying it's not just going to passively happen. If we're not part of the solution, we're part of the problem. And so I'm really pleased today to take this pledge.
Sure. I'm sure there's some who are saying, why though should it take a pledge for companies to do, quote unquote, the right thing, which should have been done years ago anyway?
We're human. We're only human. We respond to peer pressure. Sometimes it takes a nudge. In our case, we had a board seat open up back in April, and this was at the same time that George Floyd was happening, Breonna Taylor was happening, and this moment of social reckoning, it dawned on us that this was a real opportunity. Brad told the story of his son Lincoln. My daughter Josie did the exact same thing. She pulled up the page with the faces on the board of directors at Zillow, and she looked at me and raised an eyebrow and said, "What are you going to do about this, Daddy?" And so really leaning into this it's progress. It feels like progress. We began a search back in April, specifically targeting a Black candidate. And so when Brad called up, he actually sold through the yes. I was on board. It was an easy and simple one to say yes to.
Yeah, Brad, were you surprised in this process in reaching out to companies, how few had, it's one thing to have no African-American board members, but no people of color at all on their boards?
No, Scott, I've served on boards. I'm an investor. And like you heard Ken and Les say eloquently, boards tend to pull from their own networks. And so, what makes me hopeful, what makes me optimistic is the positive response we've seen. I mean, we've only been at this a few weeks, and we have over 40 companies who've raised their hands and said, yes, we need to do this. We need to take the pledge. It's not about shaming companies for the progress to date. It's about uplifting us all and moving us forward and sharing our best ideas and best practice. And so part of that is some companies, frankly, just don't know where to look. And so Valence, the board list, and so many others, the Executive Leadership Council, the Coalition for Board Diversity, so much work being done by Robert Smith and others to advance this cause. And what we want to do is just add some momentum, add some action, add some accountability. And folks like Rich stepping up before I even get the question out of my mouth, saying yes, just shows where we are. And I believe that, we're launching the board challenge today. We have just under 50 companies who've taken the pledge. And when I come back on in a year from now, I hope we have 500 companies that have taken the pledge to accelerate the rate of change and the rate of diversification of their boardroom.
Rich, you briefly mentioned the lack of diversity in Silicon Valley. Zillow's but one company. You can only do so much. Do you think that change is coming in the Valley?
Feels like it. And for better or for worse, some people look to me to kind of figure out how they should behave. I've been kicking around this industry for even a little longer than Brad, but we've both been around for quite some time. And sometimes it just takes a little nudge.